One of the things that's made me most worried that Donald Trump is going to engage in bombing Iran is his recent assertions that they are developing a nuclear weapon and could have them in weeks or months, even though that is not what our intelligence community thinks. He reiterated that earlier today, saying they could have it in weeks. And when he was told that our intelligence agencies, which just once again reiterated that that is not the case, when he was asked about that, he said, then our intelligence community is wrong. And so this is feeling super run up to the war in Iraq. Just again, baseless belief that we have to go in there because of weapons of mass destruction. And one of the interesting sort of factional fights that developed from this was that to assert that, he had to contradict Tulsi Gabbard specifically, who had testified in March that they were not developing a nuclear weapon. And he seems dead set on the idea that she was wrong. And that was fascinating. Tulsi Gabbard maybe being pushed out of the administration because she stood for the truth for once. And we have a little bit of an update on that. But first, here is Donald Trump being asked about this disagreement.
I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
She's wrong. And remember, Tulsi Gabbard didn't just say that they don't have weapons. Like a week ago, she put out a really flashy Russian-style video about World War III. She seems to actually not want us to engage in actions that could lead to nuclear war. And so finally, you have Donald Trump, who seems to be willing to gobble up propaganda and spread it baselessly to get us into a war, and Tulsi Gabbard standing for the truth, which after the last few years is refreshing. And if that makes you uncomfortable, it's not actually going in that way, because Tulsi Gabbard just tweeted, "The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize the assembly. President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. They took it out of context." She said in March, the US continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003.
Yeah.
She didn't want to lose her job, that's it. This is utterly pathetic.
I'm so glad you read that second comment, John, because I was about to give her credit. And I did when it first happened, I was like, I thought Tulsi was gonna be in favor of war against a Muslim country, to be honest. And so I didn't believe her that she was anti-war. And so when she came out and said, "Oh no, Iran's not developing a nuclear weapon," I was like, all right, where credit is due. That's true, and that's kind of an anti-war position. I now take it all back. Okay, so she's now bending a knee and saying she's totally lying.
Totally lying.
100% lying. And by the way, it's important to note, on behalf of Israel, not on behalf of us. We got nothing to do with that war. Nothing to do with that war. So now let me go to Ted Cruz real quick. So he was with Tucker Carlson. You guys know, Carlson humiliated him, as Trey was referring to there. And when Tucker asked him, "Hey, what's so great about Israel?" I mean, that's a very rough paraphrase, right? Ted Cruz was like, "Oh, they're our greatest ally." And okay, yeah, but other than them giving you, AIPAC giving you millions of dollars, why are they our greatest ally? He said, because they share intelligence with us. Yeah, false intelligence in order to push us into a war, which was where we got the fake intelligence about the WMD in Iraq. And now we have fake intelligence about Iran to push us into a war with Iran. With allies like that, you don't need enemies. They just create enemies for you. They create giant wars for you. And then what was the second reason he gave? He said, the people that hate them also hate us. I wonder why. Did it ever occur to you that the people who hate them hate us because we back all of their wars against those people, and that we fund Israel and their war crimes and their aggressive attacks against those countries? Gee, did that ever occur to you, Ted? So they're all enormously corrupt. If you're trying to figure out who's better, Ted Cruz or Tucker Carlson on this, that is not a close question. You could say blind squirrel, you could say anything you want about Tucker Carlson. There's a lot of terrible things to say about Tucker Carlson. But on this, not Ted Cruz is 100% corrupt and totally and utterly works for Israel. And just the fact that Tucker Carlson doesn't work for Israel is shocking in Washington, that anyone in that has any degree of power and is on the right wing doesn't work for Israel. So super last thing is, no, you really want to unite, and you guys do. Like Phil Lowry just became a member, hit the join button below on YouTube. We appreciate you, Phil. And then wrote in, this is at least an opportunity to form groups and plan protests and whatever else we can do to show our disgust with the thought of entering a foreign war unprovoked. Look, we started UnitedAgainstWar.com. Dave Smith, who's a prominent libertarian, came on the show a couple of days ago and says, oh, I'll unite against war. Yes, the libertarians are against it, progressives are against it. What would be amazing is if MAGA actually lived up to what they were gonna say. Trump is asking you, if you're MAGA, to put pressure on him so he can decide who's stronger, MAGA or the neocons. So MAGA, are you just gonna let the neocons win? Or you're just gonna surrender to them? Or are you going to go out there? I mean, imagine seeing a right-wing protest of a war. I'm not sure I've ever seen that in my entire life. Now, I'm gonna ask you to imagine something that you're gonna have incredible difficulty imagining. Imagine a right-wing and left-wing protest together of a war. Okay, I think that's what we should do on 4th of July. Okay, but I don't know that I can get anyone else to join that protest. It might be just me out there, right? Because the left will say, no, I hate the right so much, I'll never have a beer with them, even if we're gonna ally against the war. The right will say they hate the left, and we'll all hate each other, and then Israel will win, and we'll attack Iran and get into another giant war. But I'm trying, UnitedAgainstWar.com. Trey, last word.
Yeah, well, on that note, like John said earlier, starting to feel very run up to the war in Iraq 20 years ago or whatever, about the just pretty much baldly lying about them having weapons of mass destruction and everything. And of course, that was never true, and how back then there was no resistance to it at all. And I feel like that is an important piece of context. It makes it a little more, I don't know if interesting is the right word this time around, but and obviously you guys know and remember in 2003, it was a very bloodlusty time in America. Like peace was out. It was not a big time for being pro-peace in 2003. And I know there was some opposition to it, but everybody on the right was 100% united because like we wanted vengeance, and even though they had nothing to do with it, it didn't matter. But none of that is happening right here in this scenario. And like you said earlier, more than half of MAGA is against this, and I think you're right. I think there's polling that indicates that too. I think most Americans do not want this to happen, and I don't. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool lefty. I don't really get what the problem is even supposed to be with like agreeing with the other side on, especially something like we're talking about war, maybe World War III. Like you can't come together on something like that just because of like whatever political affiliation or just not feeling comfortable with it. Like I don't get that. I feel like anyone who's got any sense should speak out against this particular situation, and politics aside. And if the people who agree on that, you're allowed to agree, and that's okay. It's war. It's bad. Like, let's go.
And the right wing would be joining us in an anti-war protest. We're kind of known for anti-war protests.
Right.
It's not like we didn't invent it, right?
Right.
So UnitedAgainstWar.com, we'll have the link in the description box. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.